Call to order. Okay, everybody. Did you do the same? Let's pledge.
Or was that the order of the court?
Sign. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. I don't have a pen.
Councilmember Yaffe?
Here.
Councilmember Chicoche?
Here.
Councilmember Sauer? Councilmember Reed?
Here.
Councilmember Leonard?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fuller?
Here.
Mayor Bruder?
Here.
All present.
Okay.
Item 1 is a special presentation. It's a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting. Melissa Cruz, our finance director, is here to, present it and, not present it, but to accept it. This was her first one.
Oh, excellent.
You want a picture? This is her first one.
All right, everybody. Oh, this is so good.
I will.
Wow.
Oh, we go up together, we go.
Hold on to it.
Come on.
I wasn't kidding.
Fancy this year.
Oh, wow.
JC, do you want to explain to everybody what this means? So that at least they know why?
It's heavy because she said the budget.
Right, it's the budget.
Oh, no. I know, really? You want to get it? Thinking about that?
It's our report.
Yeah, I'm wearing the low ones this time. I'm wearing the low ones.
On 3. 1, 2, and 3. And again. One more time. Big smiles. Great.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You deserve it.
Okay, the first amendment.
Melissa, you want to explain what it is?
It's a certificate that relates to our annual financial report, the one that's the result of our audit. So it's a certificate of financial reporting, and it's awarded by the GFOA. They have certain measures that they measure our financial report by, and we've met all those measures.
Federal question.
And how many years has that been in a row? 'Cause
20, Callie?
it says it.
20-something?
23 in a row. Wow.
Okay. Let's go, JC.
Request for withdrawals, deferments, and future items. If you don't mind, I have pulled item number 15 from the agenda. I wanted to retake a look at this project, try to improve it. I think I spoke to all of you individually about possibly putting sidewalks, and so.
Can you explain to them where, so they understand where?
This is, we're talking about the Causeway Island, and I'm exploring the possibility of putting sidewalks out there, so people can walk along there safely. If you notice, there's already a path that people have been walking, and so they've been cutting right through the grass, but now we'll just provide them with a sidewalk.
I'd like to add for next month, working with the police department, increasing the amount allocated for the scholarship for the police explorers. We can use this out of forfeiture dollars, but we have we have a few more people graduating this year, so we would need to probably bump it up a little bit. So I'd like to have that on the next agenda, please.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to pull number 7.
And just for clarification, I'd like to pull my item number 5.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? No? Town Manager's report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. As part of my report, I just want to let you guys know that in about a month or so, I'm scheduling a date with Dave. I'm going to be going up to Tallahassee. I submitted already our request for funding for our sewer lateral project. So every year, when we submit it used to be myself and Ron, our previous town manager. We would go up to Tallahassee and present it, meet with the senators, meet with representatives, and make sure that it's working its way through the system. And then the council would go and follow up and go to, you know, on days or whenever you guys would go up. This year I'll be going by myself. If any of you guys want to join me.
When are you planning on
I
going?
volunteer Melissa Cruz to go with me.
I do too.
When are you planning on going? Do you know
I
which
have
committee week?
to, I'm sorry?
Do you know which committee week?
I don't know. I have to schedule the dates with Dave.
Okay.
If
So,
you give
and
me the
it's-
dates, I might, I mean, I've been pushing for this for years, I don't mind going back up if need be.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in agreement, that's fine. I'll work with you. and-
What's the date?
We'll just find limited
What
dates.
date are you going, J.C.?
I don't know the date. I don't have a date yet, and I'm waiting for Dave to confirm a date, consult our lobbyist to confirm
So why don't
when
you
he's...
send an email to the council, letting him know the date, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I may need to go also because due to the league business and stuff, so.
All right, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah,
Please.
Let me know also what the date is.
Okay, I'll let you know. It's usually, but now, keep in mind, I usually go up early, really early on Tuesday morning, have meetings all day Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, have meetings, and then fly back.
Right.
So it's really just a quick turnaround. The next item is this past December, on the 30th, we had our first holiday concert at 95th Street Park, and I do want to thank the town staff. Everybody in the town staff, you know, from Public Works, Police, Regine, Bridget, everybody did an outstanding job getting that park, first of all, getting the park ready in time, and then having, you know, coordinating the stage, the lighting,
And you were sick.
and then coordinating with the, the talent, the entertainment, making sure they have the space to practice, and it was just wonderful. It was really a great event, and I want to thank the staff very much. Next, I wanted to talk about is Sean here? I thought, oh, he's right outside. I wanted to talk about an arrest that was made in December. He'll get, yeah, hold on, he's getting, Sean, I'm talking about the arrest. If you want to come up and share? It was an outstanding job, and I texted you guys, but it's something that needs to be shared.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. How are you? On November 21st, we had a group of individuals, I think 4, and a stolen car. They had done a series of armed robberies throughout the county. Our officers were able to stop them, extract them from the vehicle, and make the arrest. Metro Dade came out and processed. So that's it.
Now, I wanted the key here was the officer got a hit on the LPR system, identified it, and then identified the vehicle, and made the arrest, and it was without incident. It was four guys that were in the car, and it was just excellent work, and I was very impressed.
Can you explain? I don't think everybody understands what.
The LPRs? The LPRs is a license plate reader system that we have. Whenever a vehicle passes through our town, a picture is taken of their license plate and is processed, and if it's wanted for any crime or if it's involved in anything and the license plate is registered, we'll get notified and we'll be able to identify and capture the vehicle, or at least stop them and question them. So,
And
excellent.
this was a series of, like I said, a series of armed robberies, and they closed several cases for the county. I think in the last 3 weeks, we've recovered 2 stolen vehicles on the system. So again, you know, kudos to the council for the technology, and also the manager. I know the manager recently approved our live stream cameras, which will go into our live crime fighting center, so that's going to be a tremendous asset as well to monitor the vehicles coming and going.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Next month, I'm going to be, well, a couple of months ago, the town hall had its 40-year recertification due, and next month I will be bringing a proposal, and basically the item was to do some spall repair work along the wall and painting. So we are getting proposals, and I'll be bringing that to you guys for approval. But that's just so we can be in compliance with the 40-year recertification. The town's next month also, I plan on going live with our new website, our new ADA compliant website. We're going to be live streaming our council meetings with closed captioning,
Yes.
And we have a lot of new features that we're very excited about, including a new transparency portal, which will allow our residents to access, to view our finances at their fingertips.
Can you, can you put an article in the newsletter so that people will know when it's up and running so that they can then start using it?
Yeah, absolutely. Once we're live, I'm gonna
And maybe include some of the new features that we're putting onto it, like you can pay online now through the website, and you can actually see the weekly check runs and all of the things that you'll be able to see.
Absolutely.
So they have an idea of what their options are.
I was planning on putting a nice little spread in the newsletter to make sure we advertise that.
Do you need to upgrade the app to sort of go with the website? Is that affected at all?
No, it's not affected. The app has links to the website, and so you can just click on it and it'll take you to the website.
Perfect.
The live council meetings may take a couple of more weeks. They came in, they did an assessment in the council chambers, they looked at our equipment. We're going to need additional equipment to be able to actually do the live functioning. And I think there's one of the components that has to be ordered, and it might take a little longer. So it might not be February, it might be March before it goes live. So we'll try with the PNC first to get the bugs out, and then we'll do it with you guys.
Just so you know, if I have to delay, because I wanted to, once I hit, go on the website, I want to make sure everything's working. So if I have to hold back a little bit to make sure that that's functioning properly, I'll do it.
Well, my opinion is let's do it once and let's do it right.
That's right. That's what I want to do.
The citizens are not going to be confused afterward.
And then finally, the last item I have is next month, I'm going to be bringing the town shuttle RFP. We're going to be advertising, because we've been month to month, but it's time, we just can't continue going, so I'm going to bring that for you guys. Okay?
How does that tie into the study that's being done with respect to the transportation?
That's why I was kind of holding off, right?
Right.
The study, there's finally kicked off. They were waiting for the season to kick in, and so more residents be in town. They're doing the ridership surveys, or the surveys of the customers, and then they're going to be scheduling, individual town meetings with each city, and so I don't want to wait. But our contract, the way I phrase it is, we can cancel at any time within 30 or 60 days. So if we do enter into a new contract, and then after this survey it suggests some changes, we can make those changes.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, council reports. Elizabeth.
A very busy night, and it looks like there's a lot of people here, so I'm going to refrain from saying anything. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Kelly.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'll be brief. I think we are still seeking participants for the Resiliency Committee. We have some openings, but in lieu of waiting for that, I talked to the manager today that we should be following up on, the latest in sea level rise initiatives, and I think, there might be some change of personnel in the water management area with the state. And so, we can keep our resiliency, at the benchmark level. So we don't need a committee for that. We have good administration.
Great, thank you. Isaac?
Yeah, last month it was a bit quiet on the political front, but we did have a litigation committee meeting. We met, we dealt with some issues satisfactorily, and that was it. Just Happy New Year and happy holidays, and hit the ground running 2019.
Jordan?
Just glad to see everyone coming back, and look forward to 2019, doing some good business with the town.
Sure. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to see everybody here. Just a couple brief things. I just want to remind people that Wednesday night is Pizza with the Cops at 7 o'clock in the community center. And on Sunday, we have our 13th annual 5K 10K walk run. You can register for that online, so those of you who are interested, please come out. And even if you're not participating, just come out anyway, because it's a nice morning, although it's early. And that's it.
You can see it, right? Yeah, I can see it.
That's fine.
It's fine.
So I want to say to everybody, Happy New Year, and very quickly again, I also want to repeat what JC had said and say thank you to everybody's staff with regard to the concert. It was amazing. I'm very happy we had an amazing turnout, and at the same time, I look forward to a lot of other events at the new park.
Rock and roll.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank Olima for having a beautiful spread outside. Sure, you can bring them in. They are a restaurant on King Concourse. They had closed, they had reopened. Please try to support as many restaurants and places that you can on King Concourse. They really could use our support. So they have beautiful snacks. If you haven't had a snack out there yet, please do so. They're open for lunch, they're open for dinner, and I want to thank them again for bringing us this beautiful snack. Okay, also, why don't you tell them a little bit about your restaurant, because
Well, thank you everybody. Thank you for the invitation, the mayor and all the staff, because I'm happy to be here. I was in this area for 10 years. I started in Adriana in 2007.
Can you say your name and...
Yes, my name is German. I am chef. I have experience for 33 years. I graduated in Cordon Bleu 27 years ago. I worked in Europe, in Asia, in Central America for Disney World 10 years. Now we opened it 4 years ago to Olima. My old partner is gone. This is the reason I take the restaurant now. I reopened it 2 weeks ago. I try to do the best service now for all the neighborhoods here.
Very nice.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also, JC, are you going to have listings of the next concerts, like a concert series? Are we going to maybe do a concert series?
I think we were going to work on...
We're going to be working on that. We didn't have in this current budget concerts budgeted, and there was with lighting and stage, it could add up. I don't have it, but we are planning on a series of concerts.
Can I make a suggestion that we do Peter and the Wolf, so that kids can come and learn about the orchestra, and maybe we can do that on a Sunday, late afternoon, so that...
No problem.
And I bet you, if you to call, ask the Bustles, they have something to do with the symphony. They might want to come out and do something for us for
Good
maybe
idea.
free. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Let's move
That's
to...
Committee.
All right, let's go to public...
Public comment, sorry.
Okay, I need glasses. Kathy Sir, S-R-U-R.
Is this live?
Yes, so I need you to state your
Live and in
name,
color.
your name and address.
Can you wait 5 minutes? I'll run home and change.
Drop the mic, you win.
I need your name and address for the record.
Okay, it's Kathy Shore, and the address is 10350 West Bay Harbor Drive, apartment 8D at Island Point.
Okay.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Many of us living here in Bay Harbor Islands appreciate the need for enhancements to the business district and feel that a scaled-down version of the mixed-use structure proposed for 1177 Kane Concourse would bring a welcome increase of vitality to our town. It was said at a recent November meeting that the proposed structures for 1177 Kane Concourse is the most significant Bay Harbor Island project for the next 100 years. Therefore, it stands to reason that such a project requires much study and careful planning. During this very crucial time, we would like to bring to your attention 5 main concerns. Number 1, adequate parking. For these new businesses to thrive, it is imperative that there be adequate parking available for customers to park. Adequate parking must also be provided for all the residents as well as for all those who will come to use the offices. Number 2, traffic flow. Traffic studies need to be conducted by an independent party to evaluate the true impact of so many more cars in the area. A logical, effective traffic pattern must be designed to avoid gridlock. Reasonable density is number 3. It seems excessive to add over 100 dwelling units to this 1 square block, in addition to everything else also proposed for this site.
There is already a surplus of condominiums on the market on the East Island. Is it responsible to approve so many more units? Number 4, height limit. The town building code was created for the well-being of the town and its residents. Developers must adhere to this code. Council members must honor and enforce this code. There is no justifiable reason to have a taller building. In fact, a taller building will actually bring more people, more cars, and more traffic to this location. We all moved here because we like and prefer the feel and energy of life here in Bay Harbor Island, as opposed to life in Sunny Isles or Brickell. Number 5, school crowding. We are concerned that more residents will add more children into our school, which could lead to overcrowding. This would have a negative impact on the quality of education for our children. As our elected officials, you bear the duty to represent our best interests. We hope and expect that you will take our concerns seriously and proceed in a responsible way when evaluating this and all future development on our islands. Accordingly, we hope to be able to support you in the future. Wow, we made it. And so we passed around this letter around the islands, and up to date, we have over 140 signatures from island residents who feel the way we do.
Do you want to put that into the record? You can give it to our...
Yes, and I don't have copies for everybody, but I'm happy to pass it around.
What we'll do is, Marlene, if you can, she'll take a copy and then she will have
Well, she
it
doesn't
in
have to give her the copy now. She'll,
Right.
you know, just,
Right.
if our intent is to put it into the record, make copies and then submit it to the record.
Okay, so the conclusion is give it to her now for...
No,
make a copy.
Convenience and get it over.
And give it to
Right, and
Marlene.
then
Right.
she'll...
You can drop it off.
There
here.
you go.
Or you can bring it in the morning, I'll be happy to make the copies for you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Judith Edson. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm Judith Etzion and I live in Bay Harbor Islands.
Your address?
My address is 10300 in Coral Sea Towers. I don't have much to add to Mrs. Shore. I got the information through the letter that was sent out by Mr. John Vedders, the very detailed description of the multiple planning problems regarding the height, the parking spaces, and the other, in my opinion, thoughtless logistics in the proposal for the construction at the corner of West Bay Harbor Drive and Kane Concourse. My main question is, why do we always have to come through to this place and go through the same process regarding the height of no constructions? I mean, it was decided, if somebody submits any proposal, why aren't they rejected on the spot if the building is too high? If it does not meet the code, why do we have to go through the whole process again and again? And the developers are, each time they're trying to do it again, and we are here again. So I think it's really, it should be done beforehand. Secondly, why do we always need to go around the same bush with the parking here and discuss it? I wonder if this is joining also this farcical proposal to build the new city hall across the street with the assisted living facility above it. I think we have to really reconsider what's going on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
There.
Yes.
I just, in case anyone doesn't know, this project will be before the Planning and Zoning Board tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So, you know, it's an opportunity to get more information about the project if if you'd like to attend the Planning and Zoning
But the
meeting.
information still gives the idea of a building that does not meet the code of height.
Is that a fact or
No.
is that...
No. In fact, it wouldn't be before Planning and Zoning if the building did not meet the building code, including height. but you could find out more about the project in more details, and it might be of interest to you. I'm not saying that it'll change your mind about anything, and I'm not suggesting you come to the meeting to change your mind, but it's a good opportunity to learn more about what's being proposed, other than the information that you've received by email or the letters, which, as I understand, is very detailed. But again, you can see renderings of it, you can hear what the developer has to say, you can hear what the members...
You can comment on it
And you
as
can
well.
comment.
That's the key.
Right, and you can hear what members of the Planning and Zoning Board have to say about the project as
Maybe
well.
we should clarify that only in the business district, we have that new ordinance that's unique, that allows us to kind of, barter for that 10 feet of height. That's not done in the rest of the island.
Right, and it's still 75 feet.
Still 75, it doesn't
Still
change.
75 feet.
This will be the first time that we'll be looking at making some kind of an agreement on this new ordinance.
And let me say, and tell me if anybody feels otherwise, and if anybody wants to go on the record, I don't think there's anybody up here who's in any way advocating for raising heights around the entire island. It's not the situation. And I'm not talking about this one project or any other project, but there's no appetite from anybody to raise heights. So anybody that's sending information around saying that we're going to turn this into Sunny Isles, it's nowhere close to accurate. Nobody here believes that.
Right.
And, I'd like to also just put things in perspective. The 1111 building is basically the highest building on Kane Concourse, and this building will be no higher than that. Just putting it out there.
If it's built.
Maybe.
Maybe, we don't know yet. But first it goes to P&Z, and if it wasn't in code, P&Z would not be looking at it. So first, it's the town that looks at it, it's the P&Z that looks at it, and it wouldn't be presented to P&Z if it did not fit the code. Now, they will come before council after the P&Z. I don't know exactly when, but because we have an ordinance that allows them the 10 feet, which is the difference, which puts them at 75 feet, correct?
But it's at council discretion.
It's at our discretion, and it's a barter. They cannot get it without giving some substantial thing back to the town. That's how the code reads. And that doesn't mean that will happen. It means that they have an opportunity to ask for it. But as far as parking and everything else, it has to fit the code. They cannot go before P&Z if it doesn't fit the code.
And design. Everything goes in front of planning and zoning. So tomorrow night's meeting, if you have comments, it's a perfect time to go in and do that.
Right.
And I encourage you to go and listen.
Right, and if planning and zoning, if people show up to the planning and zoning board and there's like 17 people talking about it, and 17 people say we're against the plans that are being presented, the planning and zoning board is not, they probably won't approve it, or if they do approve it conditionally, it'll be subject to the comments that are made at the planning and zoning meeting.
Marlene?
And the 10 feet, just to clarify further, the 10 feet that Stephanie's talking about is that up until, maybe last year, we had a 65-foot height limit on Kane Concourse. So we're even with the additional quote-unquote 10 feet, we're still no higher than the 75-foot height limit by charter.
Right. Marlene, when Ms. Scher brings out her letter in the petition tomorrow, can you also send it to P&Z?
Sure, but I wanted to clarify that the project was approved at the Planning and Zoning Board in November. They're coming back tomorrow for certain modifications that the Planning and Zoning Board asked them to do.
Right, but comments are still open.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, but I just wanted to make sure that people knew that, and also that the 10 feet is for public benefit.
Right.
That you have to approve.
Correct.
And there will be 2 hearings here after they get approvals from council meeting, because the developers' agreements have to have 2 public hearings. So there will be additional opportunities to come and speak.
Okay. Jonathan? Yeah.
We're going to try that.
I was going to try. I don't like to butcher people's names.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. It's a minor issue, I guess, but...
I need your name and address.
Sure. My name is Jonathan Garcia. I live at 10205 West Bay Harbor Drive. a parent of 2 small children. We spend a lot of time at Scott Winters Park. It's a park that's enjoyed by a lot of people. There is a large group that plays soccer there fairly regularly, mostly older kids, which tends to kick the ball really, really hard. And having no division between the field and the playground creates a little bit of a hazardous situation for the smaller kids. So if you guys would maybe take the opportunity and swing by and see what happens. Multiple times there have been balls hitting adults protecting kids or adults not paying attention to what's happening at the game. So throwing up a net, maybe, between the 2 poles that already exist, north and south, on the edge of the field, would eliminate that issue. I don't think you have to put another pole into the ground, so it should be a relatively painless solution and would allow everybody to enjoy the park at the same time.
JC, can you
I'll
do
explore it.
that for me, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
for letting us
so
know
much.
that. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor Linda Zilber.
Former Mayor Linda Zilbert, 1231 95th Street, Bay Harbor Islands, West Island. First of all, New Year's Eve, we had a fire in the back of our house. And I would like to thank our police department and our fire department, who were absolutely fantastic. The other thing that I wanted to say is I have been friends for a long time with the Bush family. And I thought it was very interesting at his funeral that Senator Al Simpson said, "Hatred corrodes the container it's carried in." So for all of us, let's love instead of hate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy holiday. I hope you all had a happy new year and good holidays. I'm not going to stay for the whole meeting because you all know where I'm going. Hello? Nothing has changed. But I have 2 things I want to address. Whoever came up with, and I heard it was my friend over there, item 11, you got to be kidding me. We need this, not marijuana, but we need this dispensary here in Bay Harbor. Surfside has it, North Miami has it. We are so backwards here, and I heard that you, Simone, is the one that brought this up. Is that correct? That's what I was told. Why would you be against something that helps seniors?
Actually, I'm gonna defend Frank for a second. Let me just before we get into it.
Stop the clock.
There was a, just so everybody's aware, there was a vote at the last meeting as to whether or not to bring that forward or not, and it went 4-3. That's why it's there. He was instructed by...
Well, I'm highly...
Say one other thing. There's a state statute which provided for a moratorium, and, after some period of time, the council decided that we needed to just address the issue, which occurred, as Josh said, in November.
Yeah.
And we had to decide whether to permit or not permit dispensaries, and the vote, as Josh said, was 4-3 against
Well,
permitting.
I highly recommend that you permit dispensary in Bay Harbor Islands. We got to keep up with the times here. We are so backwards. There are a lot of elderly people. I speak to them all the time, and I've spoke to my doctor. I go once a year to a doctor. Thank God I'm healthy. But I did have a conversation with my doctor, and he told me that this would be great for Bay Harbor Islands. You can have it at the wonderful pharmacy that we have here in Bay Harbor, and whoever came up with this idea is crazy. They weren't thinking about the elderly who are in pain. Not only elderly, but other people. And please, open up your brains. We need this stuff. I'm not talking about marijuana now. I'm talking about this medicine, that dispensary that you get from a doctor. So I please, open up your brains. Also, I want to welcome JC to the city manager. I miss my Ron, but JC, welcome. I'm supporting him. I did have some issues. He solved them already at the Parks and Rec. And I have the pizza with the cops coming up, and I know that's all your favorites. I want all of you there to welcome the kids, the parents. Some of you are running for re-election, so I think it's good that you be there. And I'm a big promoter of that, by the way. And whoever came up with the chamber ensemble at the parks, man, oh man, it was terrific. It was one of the best evenings in the outside of the Glory Couture's fiesta on the Cane Concourse, and I think it was you, Josh. So congratulations to you. And was it you, Jordan? It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I understand that the kids are going to be playing there in 2 weeks. I hope they don't, because they're going to ruin that grass.
We're going to let the grass grow.
We'll let the grass grow.
Yeah, please, because they're going to ruin that grass. It is really, really nice. So thank you for your vision, but please, let's get a dispensary here for the seniors and get them out of their misery, okay? And get them off of drugs and put them on this good stuff, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what, JC, one thing I do want to put on the next month about that park, when we open it, how we use it. I mean, I don't want to just use it as a playground.
And in the meantime, also, if you have a couple ideas of what kind of concerts to bring, let's have that discussion next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, Mrs. Newhart.
Two more. Brandon, one more.
Francis Newhart, 1060 Cane Concourse. I wasn't going to talk about this until the town council discusses this 1177 Cane Concourse. Which is really 96th Street and 97th Street. You have to realize, and I'm going to clarify this, the business we should start with the flum map. When we had our charrettes and everything else, yes, you put a 75 cap, and into the charter amendment, that was the only thing that was official. But you did say 65 feet on the flum map was for the interior buildings, including the business district, and also on East Bay Harbor Drive. You could even see the new hotel, that is 65 feet, not 75 feet, because that was in the rules and regulations. All of a sudden, we've come up with a new idea, and that is give them an incentive in the business district. Let's go up another 10 feet. Let's give them the incentive to give us a park or maybe affordable housing or something for them to build an extra 10 feet on that property. But that property is also facing the residential, and that's on the 97th Street. So you're going to have more parking. And they even mentioned it. Yes, they will have more apartments, over 100 apartments, when we're flooded already with the apartments that are now available. The other thing is, it's very hard in P&Z because they don't talk about these things. As a matter of fact, I go to all these meetings, and when you want to talk about the parking, the density, the this, the that these people are worried about, you're telling them to go to P&Z. Well, Mr. Simone can surely tell us, because he always interrupts and says their aesthetics. Planning and Zoning Board is only aesthetics. You can't talk about this here, and you are the ones who make the decision. You're the ones with the TDRs. You're the ones who can say, yes, that's a great idea. Let's make it another 10 feet. This way we get a park or we get something. But meanwhile, you're listening to the people. They don't want any more cars. They don't want an overcrowded school, and they don't want another extra 10 feet. But that'll be tomorrow and at February 14th or the 12th, when we're all here listening to you. I would like to thank Chief Hemingway and the Bay Harbor Police Force for always being very responsive to our needs regarding the students after school at the 95th Street Shopping Center, and the many children on bicycles and skateboards in the alley leading to the 1048 Cane Concourse Breezeway. I would like to thank Dee Chestnut from the Utility Department, who has been very kind and helpful in providing the many papers and charts recently of one of our tenants who has not paid his water and
Thank you,
sewage
Ms.
bill
Newhart.
in 2 years. I just have to thank 3 other people.
Okay.
Is that okay? I'd like to thank Uni. She works in the, especially when I call in late on Thursdays, and she is still kind and helpful in having our bulk garbage picked up. I would like to thank Sergey Koretko from Public Works and the Water Department for being kind and always being there when we have a problem. And especially recently, I don't know if he's here, oh, there he is, to Doug Anderson for making it safer for our customers by putting back the car bumpers in front of 95th Street, the parking spaces. Thank you so much and for your employees. Thank you.
Okay, John.
Hey, good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. John Correll, 9660 West Bay Harbor Drive. I guess this, my comment here goes possibly to JC and Marlene on how the notices are sent out. Every time I get a notice from the city, specifically regarding the 1177 project or something else, that notice is on the back.
Or the front, depending on how you look at it.
I'll show you the way you open. All right, give me 15 seconds back. The way that you open the letter up, the first thing you see is like new building code. You can't, do jackhammers and stuff. Anyone who opens up all the ton of junk mail that we see every day, the first thing you see is the notice from the city, and it appears that the 1177 project, or that we're trying to hide something. Why can't we be more transparent and put the actual notice in the front instead of folding it over? I mean, is there a process that you can show me on how it's folded and what goes on?
It's a double-sided notice,
Let me
and we
finish.
have information.
Let me
Let me
finish.
just say that we have information about the code on the
No, I
other
just wanted to finish
side
my comment.
at the request of the council. I can take that information off completely again and just send purely the notice if that's your wish. But it is a double-sided piece of paper, and it was at the request of the council that we put all the information on code compliance on the back.
As I was saying, when you open the envelope, the first thing you see when you open it is a normal letter, a business letter. Even though the back page is blank, it's not folded. So when you open it up, the front page is blank and the letter's actually on the back. I confirmed this with 11 people in my building, and it's happened on 3 notices already. And I'll go home and grab the notice and bring it to you. But my question is, JC, do we have a process on how that's folded and how it's put in so that people are notified?
There is no particular process.
Well, if I can make a recommendation that if there's a notice regarding a meeting, for instance, the sign on the 1177 project faces Kane Concourse. Everyone that travels Kane Concourse doesn't really live on the west side of the island or on West Bay Harbor Drive. They don't see that sign. So why don't we try to be a little more transparent and put the notice where when you open the letter up, people can see that it's about 1177, and put the sign on West Bay Harbor Drive so that the people that drive and walk their kids up and down that street can see it. I mean, again, I don't think it's anything major to ask here. On the parking issue, it's a huge issue. We have people already from the hotel parking in our building and using our docks. We've had 3 cars towed, and we've actually blocked people in for 4 or 5 hours. And they're using the dock next door. Sean and the team have been extremely responsive in helping us address this. But if you look at that parking lot during the day, I count it, there's 26 cars out there every day, and across the street on the empty lot and parallel to the city lot, there's 11 cars there. At night, there's a dozen cars parked across the street and probably 6 in that parking lot. So the parking is an issue there.
Wait, can you stop? Wait. Can you ask the owners to put a sign that says private property and will be towed at the owner's expense so that they know that that's not a open lot for everybody to use?
And also, there is a sign there.
But no.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry. You were saying Josh or Stephanie?
Well, I just want to ask you, do you have any idea of the source of where those cars are coming? Are they other residents, or are they something coming from the hotels, finding a place?
The ones in our launch, Josh, specifically have been from the hotel, and they get one of these pontoon boats that pull up, because we have great docks and new seawalls.
Right, that's what I want
The ones across the street, though, there are people that work on Kane Concourse or in the 1111 building, since parking is a little tight right there, and the 1111 building there's
Right,
probably a
that's-
half dozen cars there.
Right, that's
In
understood. What I want
the
just,
evening, though, there are other residents that park there, because I've seen them, I do the turn there to come up to my building.
Correct.
And there are residents that do park there,
Right.
at least
Right,
later
Elizabeth,
on
right
in the
along that
day.
empty lot and all the
Yeah,
way to
no, no,
the,
they line right up.
and the
Yeah.
residents, we're
I've
going
seen
to have
it.
to deal with that thing, but JC, I want you to please have communication with the hotel, because that's my first concern, because if they think that's an easy drop-off place, that's a problem. And
no, we're gonna, put a permit in to gate off our parking, because
No,
when the
but we're
construction
also
starts there.
talking- Right, but next door.
I'm sorry, I'm over the time here,
No,
Stephanie.
no,
so-
you have, no, that's
Okay.
right. But I'm saying, right next door, that empty lot next door, right at the corner, that's private property. And
Correct.
either, you know what, JC, if they're not using it right now, ask them if they will just, and I'm more.
Put a little chain there.
But the thing is. that
They
I'm
used to have it a long time ago, Elizabeth, and Sean and his team are extremely responsive when we see the pontoon boats going up there,
Yeah.
and we see 20 or 30 people
But
going
I'm
on the
thinking
boat
like
there.
That little
It's,
chain,
But
you know,
I'm-
just precludes people from being able to drive
even if you,
in.
the sign that used to be on the dock, Elizabeth, rusted away, but if they
Okay.
repost it, and again, the landscaping on King Concourse doesn't allow, I guess, the officers on patrol possibly
Right.
to see in.
But I'm also concerned about the dock. The dock is so maybe they want to gate it in until they decide what they're going to do with that property.
And Stephanie, they've been using we've seen them we've got them on the video, 18, 15 people that parked in our parking lot, and they use our docks, and we've got nice wooden docks and the
So let me ask
bumpers.
you,
and-
is it from the hotel that are using it?
Yes, and there's a private pontoon guy that I know the police were out there on Sunday. But the thing is, with the parking, we need to be sensitive to this, specifically on making sure that this new structure has adequate parking.
Absolutely. But on top of that, we also have to have a conversation with the hotel, saying to them.
Well, we already did, and our building manager is gonna, put them on notice, basically.
No,
saying
we
that-
have a strong, if you remember.
I'll be having a meeting with the hotel.
Well, no, I mean a very strong message to them, because if you remember, when they came in front of us and asked for the rights to even build, that was one of my main concerns right there, is that they weren't going to dump the additional parking on the rest of the residents. And we made sure that was actually within all the documents that we gave them, that if they were going to build, they were going to commit to making sure that wasn't going to happen. Remind them of that, or we will go back after them.
Yeah, but John Steele, the valet park at the hotel, I think, is $20.
Right, but that
So
was-
they park over here
Right,
for
that was
free.
exactly, but that was exactly my statement. When we allowed the hotel, that was exactly the thing that I was worried about, and I know that everybody else here agreed with the same situation, is as prices go up, people find other places to park, and they just
Correct.
put their cars somewhere else, or the valets, start hinting.
I agree.
You don't want to pay, we'll go over there,
Sean.
and that's the problem.
Since that is private property, and I know for a fact, and we'll get a letter from the owners, that nobody should be parking there because there's no building or anything like that. And unless we can get a letter from them telling us who can and cannot park there, if anybody. If not, I want them ticketed, okay? And after a while, if they get ticketed from the hotel, they will feel it because.
Well, if they access the property, it's trespassing.
Yeah, we've actually issued a special watch already, so the troops have been watching it, and they will make any trespassing arrests or anything alike if there's.
And if they park their car and leave it, can we, okay, and
Well,
then-
if they do park on the property, we'll of course ask the property owner to tow it at that point. So that'd be the best course of action if they are.
We'll be speaking with we'll be speaking with the general manager of the hotel.
As soon as
Address
one
all
or two
these-
guests have a
also-
problem where things start getting
but
towed
also-
away, trust me, it
right,
gets
but
out.
also-
Oh, no, we already.
But also the property owner of the land where they're parked.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, 1177 people, we'll be speaking to them as well.
Right.
And
unless
they,
they're
like I said, they are
gated
subject to
or-
arrest, so if they are on the property, on the docks, and they're willing to prosecute, we'll take them.
I would prefer them, since they're not using it, if they can gate it,
Gate it or chain it off.
or whatever they need to do.
That's
A,
fine.
it's a safety issue, and B, they have a dock there.
Yeah, remember, we talked about all the lots around town and the gate, and Frank had an opinion.
And again, sometimes I see local people taking their kids out to fish off the dock. I don't have an issue with that, but when the pontoon boats come by and they're using it as a business,
Right.
and then they're moving people in and out of there,
You know what it is, John? I'm not sure how safe that dock is. So
I
I'm
agree.
not so
It's, there's a
comfortable.
crack between the seawall and the dock there,
So I'm
and there's some
not-
exposure for the property owner and then possibly the city.
So it's better if we just handle it between the hotel and the property owner, and we'll take care of that. And then if you need any more assistance, please reach out to JC.
I know everyone here, so I can
And-
reach
and
out to
ha-
everyone.
And he will be having a discussion, a very strong discussion with the hotel.
Great, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Okay. Got it. Okay, consent agenda. Everything.
Committee report.
Committee
Oh,
report.
Charity,
Is Kathleen still here?
No, she already did it pretty
She
much.
left. Okay, she basically did it. Okay,
that's right.
let's do consent agenda. All those...
Move it.
Everything but 5 and 7.
One other thing, the deadline, the dates for the council meetings, item number 4. Marlene, did you check that? Do you
Yeah,
wanna-
it's the 10th.
It's Monday, the 10th?
Yes.
Of
Okay.
June.
Yeah,
Okay,
June.
so just note on number 4, it says Monday, the 11th. So it is indeed the Monday, the
Yes, the
10th of
10th.
June.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, let's go to 4. Oh, we did 4, sorry. 5. Who called 5? Jordan?
Yep.
You want me to read the item?
Yeah, please, just.
Consideration and approval requested by Councilmember Leonard of a memorandum of understanding with Our Kids of Miami-Dade and Monroe, Inc. to establish a protocol for foster and adoptive parent recruitment within the town.
Yeah, there's one thing that's left out of there is just the incentive for, from the town side, that just was not put in. So just, I would ask for an amendment just to add that we would have an incentive for any employee that wanted to participate, that we would offer flex time for them in order to take the educational component, in order to comply, to be able to adopt a child if any employee wanted to. That's pretty much the whole point of it. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to pass it.
Second.
Second.
All right.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Number 7.
Yeah, the reason I pulled it is just I wanted to repeat something that, you and I had spoken about, JC. On number 13, we're talking about spending, on the agenda today, we're talking about spending another $21,000 dealing with HR. And I just want to make sure we have it on the record, because I want to make sure that we are not doing these things at the same time. I want to make sure that the two are coordinating it, because I don't want software in one way and everybody else to potentially change the classification another way. As long as they're coordinated, I have no problem with it.
We'll coordinate with, go ahead. I'm
You know,
sorry.
before you even respond to that, actually, I had a thought as I went through the agenda kit, and, not only do I think 7 relates to item number 13, but I think item 12 relates to 7 and 13, and what I was going to suggest as we consider the 3 separate items was that, just like our neighboring Bal Harbor, that we schedule some type of a retreat. Like actually a council retreat. It doesn't have to be in the Polynesian Islands or anything like that, but it could be, they do it, and it's incredibly productive for them. That they do a retreat, they discuss what the town's, what their goals are for the town, a mission statement, and I think a retreat on a town our size, which obviously is a bit more simpler than Bal Harbor, could include, staffing, HR items, our thoughts on departments and things like that.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to put that out there at this time.
So do you want us to defer this?
Actually, yes. I want to defer it.
Defer which item, I'm sorry?
I want to defer discussion of our mission statement,
Okay.
and perhaps
7 and 13?
Yes, 7 and 13, which relate to human resources and our organizational chart.
Okay.
What
And,
What if we deferred 7 and 12, but we left 13, because 13 is what keeps it moving forward?
I agree completely with that.
Yeah, so then we'll defer the other 2 and we'll do the actual work and then bring those back.
I don't have a problem either way, as long as, like I said, my key thing is that they're coordinated, because it looked to me, originally the way it was written, that you've got one set of group is creating new classifications, and the other one designing something based on the old classifications, which made no sense.
No, and I was going to coordinate them, both of them, obviously. Long story short, our town's employee policy manual is dated from 1994. We don't even hand it out to new employees now because it's so outdated, and it's been updated. I think it consists of that document from 94 and a couple of memos from Greg Tyndall, or 2 managers ago. So I appreciate and trust me, I would love to have a retreat with the town council and conduct.
So my question to you is the same, so that we can cut to the chase. The classification would come before the manual. You would have to.
I would do the classification first and then have the manual. I was getting the approvals so I can just move on from one to the next one and get that done as well. It's just, our HR systems are really old, and if I'm going to start hiring people...
Can we do what Isaac was advocating, which is hold back on everything right now? I mean,
And let us, and maybe you can get a bunch of feedback from
The
us.
thing is that, why would you do a manual?
Wait, hold on, time out. The town manager is responsible for personnel, and I need this in order to bring our personnel policies to the current century.
But my question
When I hire somebody, when I try to, my job descriptions are completely out of date. They haven't been updated since, I don't know, 2005, when the last one was done. I need the tools, so when I start hiring people, I'm hiring them with some rhyme or reason.
I have to say that at Miami Beach, I participated in depth with the strategic planning process. It took over a year. It was run by the Bal Harbour leadership, George and Ramiro. And it really is, the number 12 is the only one that's part of a strategic plan, really. 7 and 13 are more HR related. So if you want to do that kind of retreat, that's great, because the mission statement and the visioning is sort of what starts off the strategic plan. But I don't think 7 and 13 should be held up. I think they can go forward, and it's totally unaffected by whatever mission statement and the rest.
We can pull the mission statement, and then during our retreat, we can start talking about what our vision, our values, all that fun stuff that you guys, that we can talk about. Or,
I really, just my 2 cents, I really would not want to hold up 7. The fact that the fact that it hasn't been updated since 1994, I was in high school, so, now, whether or not the manager decides to hold off on implementing it because of comments from council, that's his prerogative, but I don't want to have the council hold it up any longer. That's just, there's a lot that's happened since then.
So,
I agree with respect to number 7. I think that should proceed without delay.
and what about 13?
Well, we'll get to that one.
Well, because he pulled it, so let's just,
which one do you think, well, let me ask you, if you had to do one before the other, which do you feel more comfortable with, 7 or 13?
13, I would want that one first, because then
So
the policy manual dovetails after that.
I'll leave my trust in you. I just want one done before the other, and I'm happy to
I
do
think
that
too,
one.
like as a part of 13, we can do the retreat because it's all one big component.
But I think we can approve them this evening.
Right.
We're going to have a retreat scheduled, but proceed with whatever contracting work, whatever you need to do, JC, to move
And
forward.
also, I need to give a call over to Richard Weiss to see how are they able to do a retreat? Because
Right.
the whole sunshine law.
Oh, I asked.
It's like a
It's all over.
workshop, except it's longer,
Uh-huh.
and it's
Open
just...
to the public?
It is absolutely open to the public.
Everything
Yeah,
has to be open to the public.
it's a workshop, it's open to the public.
And the way-
There are minutes, the minutes are...
Is it outside of Baldwin?
No, it's in Bal Harbour.
Actually, they've done it outside of Bal Harbour, but this past year it was in Bal Harbour.
And this week, I think they have their other one scheduled, or it's this week or next week, they have it coming up.
It's this week.
It's this week, and I think it's in one of the hotels there in Bal Harbour.
Facilitator, and it's just...
It would be nice.
Can we do it here? Do we have to go we have everything set up, we have our video and everything. I'm fine here. But I don't need any...
Let's talk about the
Well,
logistics.
let's-
I don't want to sound...
Okay,
Go
that's
to a
fine.
hotel.
That's fine, but I like that idea. I just wasn't going to throw an idea like that out there in my first month. I'm just trying to bring things up to date quickly. I know they're not budgeted, but they're very important to me moving forward and trying to,
Okay, so I had pulled 7. What I'm going to do is this. I have no problem letting it move forward, but with the understanding again that you're going to coordinate to make sure 13 is done before 7.
Yep.
So we're not wasting money one or the other.
Absolutely.
And you'll deal with setting up some form of, you'll look into with Frank the possibility of a retreat, whether it's here or anywhere, I don't care, that's something later on.
And then I'll
So
find
that
a
we can-
facilitator.
So that we can streamline everything and you'll pull number 12.
Yeah, I will speak. I already have.
I'll second it.
So we're doing 7 and 13, basically.
Well,
We're doing
we're
7 first.
Yeah.
7. I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Josh did.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So where are we now?
Going to 11.
Number 11.
Of course.
Council Schroeder.
Okay.
Ours is 1994.
All right, JC, number 11.
Consideration and approval of an ordinance on first reading to prohibit medical marijuana dispensing facilities within the town.
An ordinance of the Town of Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, amending Chapter 23, Article 1 of the Town of Bay Harbor Islands Code of Ordinances by adding Section 23(5.3) to prohibit medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities within the boundaries of the Town of Bay Harbor Islands, as authorized by Section 381986111B of the Florida statutes, providing legislative findings, providing for codification, providing for moratorium contingency, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
And I'm going to say right off the bat that I'm against this. I think this is a mistake. I like the idea of free market. Nobody's saying one's coming in one way or another, and I think it's a little hypocritical of us for a long time to say that we want the general market to dictate what's here and what's not, and then to change and block it.
And I agree. Let me just also state that the overwhelming majority of the voters in the state of Florida approved a constitutional amendment authorizing medical marijuana in this state. And I think that it's just wrong to prohibit the dispensary in this town.
So I think
I'm not saying that we should have one. I'm just saying to have an ordinance in the books that says you can't have one, I think is wrong.
Right.
So I am opposed to it, not so much the marijuana. We have 1,250 students here, and there is a place right over in North Miami that has one. Surfside has one. It's not that it's not accessible. I just think that in this small town that it's not necessary. It's not like you can't get it. And I think that with our school here and our population of children here, for me, it's just not the right message.
Well, frankly, I mean, I understand your concerns, but it is like a drugstore. I mean, our 1,200 students are not walking into Bay Harbor Drugs and getting all types of drugs from the drugstore, and a medical marijuana dispensary works the same way. I mean, you need a prescription.
I went right over the bridge to get some. They didn't ask me for a prescription. They didn't ask me for anything.
There's certainly an issue, and if that were to happen, if there were one in Bay Harbor Islands, you know, the police chief would be called immediately, okay, to shut the place down, or whatever law enforcement process to shut the place down. If we ever heard of anyone walking in and being able to obtain medical marijuana without a prescription.
I have a question though, Bob. You said we don't need the ordinance, but we don't have to approve it later? We would have to, right?
No.
If it's allowed, then it's allowed.
If it's allowed, it's allowed. What we're doing is prohibiting.
Right. But we can't decide later if one comes to apply.
No. I mean, I suppose somebody could move to repeal this ordinance if it were adopted, but...
And that's another thing.
We have to allow this.
So right now, we have an opportunity for the ban. This is kind of our last opportunity. And we can always overturn it later. We can always lift it, because this is kind of a new thing. Frankly, you know, I voted for it. I'm in favor of it. I hope, you know, it goes even further. I'm just concerned about our two-block business district, our small town, our school, and it is accessible. And I think maybe, you know, this is a new thing. There are places opening up all over. I would like to just put this in place and watch it in other places and see what happens, because if we don't, then there's nothing we can do. And we have so many things that have been shoved down our throats that, you know, the state has preempted. So let's just look at this as a temporary thing, and then we can revisit it. And as we all travel around, we can look at the ones to the west, to the east, north, and south. And if we have no distress over it, if they look great, if they're running fine, but if not, at least we've protected our community.
I totally,
everything you said. I don't necessarily agree, but I also don't see, when I read through it, I don't remember seeing a sunset provision in there if you are putting it in.
No.
So why would we have to? Can't we just vote it again?
But that's the point. No, but that's the thing, is nobody's ever going to come back up and start trying to repeal it. And let's be honest, that's never going to end up happening. The way I look at it is this. You know, you stated that there's one in North Miami, there's one in Surfside, there's one. If that's the case and that's the amount of demand, then even if we allow it, one won't be built here economically. If the citizens have enough demand that they want one here, that's when the business would open. And if the citizens want that, then there's no reason for us to restrict it.
Yeah, I just, not to beat a dead horse, for me, the geography of the town, and I agree with Kelly, not knowing the future. Are they going to make recreational, are we going to approve recreational use? What's that going to look like? I think that there's so many questions around this that we don't have answers for, that at this point it just makes sense with our window of opportunity to prohibit it for me, and then see what it looks like in the future.
Okay, let's call vote.
What were we talking about again?
The vote in favor is for the ban.
Okay.
The vote in favor is for the ban.
Yes. Councilmember Yaffe.
Against.
Councilmember Chicoche.
4.
Councilmember Salver.
4.
Councilmember Reed.
4.
Councilmember Leonard.
Against.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
Against.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
Passes 4-3.
Item number 12, if you guys want me to hold off on this, the mission statement, if we want, for the
Yes.
retreat, that's
Let's
perfectly
defer.
fine. Item number 13, discussion and approval of proposal from HR Compensation Consultants LLC in the amount of $20,950 for classification and compensation consulting services. And I have Katie Bush is here, if you have any questions for her.
I'll move it.
A second.
Okay, Victor Maya. Oh, yeah.
Victor Maya, 1155 103rd Street. I was trying to follow the discussion on the previous item, and I wasn't sure if this council was going to be a roadblock, to changes in human resources policy. It's obvious that for the last 10 years, under the management of our last town manager, that HR was not a priority. These issues here, when you're looking at classification of employees, present a major potential liability for the town if an employee is misclassified as exempt or non-exempt on the Fair Labor Standards Act. And you're looking at tremendous amount of back pay, penalties, and things of that sort that our town attorney can pretty much tell us is real. And if these jobs had not been looked at and properly classified in 10, 15 years, that's a problem. And frankly, any efforts, by our town manager to modernize and update the Human Resources Department should be looked upon with a great deal of pleasure and happiness, and hallelujah, it's about time that this is being done and looked at, that attempts are being made to follow faithfully the mandates of our charter, to update manuals and policies and practices and procedures. And this town council should be supporting our town manager in this respect and in everything that he's doing in this respect. Thank you.
Mr. Maya, I know you're being very modest, but you have extensive experience legally in this area, so.
Yes. I practiced labor and employment law for 10 years in private practice. I also served as Director of Labor Relations and Employment Law for a major grocery store chain, and I served as Regional Human Resources Manager for a very large retailer here in South Florida, responsible for all of the Florida regions. I have defended, these claims, against companies and corporations who have misclassified workers for overtime claims, who have done things of that sort. And let me tell you something, it's a simple, totally unintentional liability that's created because you have a document that says that an employee is exempt. What does that mean? Oh, they're salaried. That means that they're not entitled to overtime, when the reality of it is the law doesn't care what you say and how you pay them. It's what they actually do and how they're supervised and how much control you have over what they do and how much independent decision-making they have within their job that determines whether or not they're truly exempt or not. So just because you call an employee exempt and you pay them a salary does not mean that you don't owe them overtime. And you can go back 3 years in terms of determining just how much that is, and then those damages can be doubled and tripled. And you have to pay attorney's fees, which is what makes it very attractive to plaintiffs' attorneys, when they come after you. So what he's doing, I think, is very progressive, needs to be done, and needs to be supported wholeheartedly, 100%.
Victor, as an attorney that's brought those claims, I agree with you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think she was going to come up.
If you got a question.
I had just one question. Are we going to be looking at, because I read through everything, are we going to be looking at reviewing education requirements, certifications, specialty trainings? I know that the town manager and I have spoken about, doing like anti-bullying training for the Parks and Recreation staff, or doing like some specialty trainings, any certifications our leadership should have. Like, are we looking at all of those items as well?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, good evening. Katie Bush, HR compensation consultant. Very quickly, the answer is yes. We're gathering data about all of the jobs. So we're finding out what people do, what the minimum qualifications are, what the skill sets are needed to do the position. We're laying that foundation for updated job descriptions, making sure that the minimum qualifications are in fact those that are needed to perform the position, or identify training or skills that are needed. In addition to that, in terms of the Fair Labor Standards Act, ensuring that you all are in line with that, as well as the labor market.
Thank you.
Yeah, just for the record, I mean, I'm not sure what Mr. Maya was implying, but I 100% support this. I'm going to vote for this, and any comments that I made in reference to this item was that I wanted to be more involved with the process personally.
You don't have to explain it to me, I understand completely.
Right,
I think we're all in the same boat.
Okay.
Everybody's in favor of it.
So,
completely.
Marlene?
Poll vote, yes.
Poll vote.
Councilmember Leonard.
4.
Councilmember Reed.
4.
Councilmember Salver.
4.
Councilmember Chicoche.
4.
Councilmember Yaffe.
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 14. Consideration and approval of a request from Easy Fill FL LLC to extend the hours of operation from an on-demand gas delivery service. The business owner is requesting to operate between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 a.m.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Basically, they were here before. You instructed me to make their hours until 10. They wish to extend them, which is why we asked them to come before you.
Yeah,
I have some.
Yeah, I want to say this. First of all, I've always told you, I think this business is genius, and I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I have to be totally honest, 10 p.m. was a stretch for me, and we're a generally quiet town. I know you guys are quiet, but the sounds that it makes during the day versus when it's super quiet at night is a very big difference. And for me, 10 o'clock is just like already my major cutoff. So I really respect your business. Unfortunately, I think when I weigh it against the town and, other people having to listen to this and what that would look like, it doesn't make sense. I have, but it's very different at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I've heard it at 3 in the morning. Before
But they're not here.
No. Before, I was here, I was the one who pushed to try and limit it when they were here beforehand, so they don't like me as it is, but...
It's very different when it's in the afternoon, when there's other noise going on, the daytime noise, versus when it's late at night and it's super quiet. Sometimes I can hear the train from North Miami. That's how quiet it gets here.
Everyone on the bus hear the train.
I mean, when I think about that and I think about the quality of life for the residents, for me, like I said, 10 p.m. was already like a super stretch emotionally. I just can't commit beyond that.
You want to say to me, I want to follow you afterwards, but go ahead.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, I don't really understand why you can't get to everybody between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and what does this lead to? I mean, I may not be, let's bring in the mobile grooming services, let them work later too. I mean, I think it's just going to open the door to other types of business. Well, Jason, you're smiling, but
I just laughed because I picture somebody, grooming their pet.
Right. I mean, if you work all day or whatever it is, maybe at 11 o'clock at night, it's more convenient. I'm just saying, I need to have a better understanding of why you can't get to your customers between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m.
So there are a few, Jonathan.
I mean, what are the hours of our gas station?
They
close like at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, they do. So I'm just saying,
I've got to play 10 to 10:01, the lights go off.
Because they're old. You get gas on your way to work or on the way home from work, and if you're going to use your service, then, I mean, if you wanted to be here at 7 a.m., then I might even say, okay, before people leave for work, but to go until 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't support that.
So let me try to answer. There's a lot of questions, a lot of comments, if I can, one at a time. So first, the answer is, to answer your question, Ms. Fiaffi, is that most of our customers prefer service between 6 p.m. and 3 in the morning. That they're not coming, we're never here at 7 in the morning, we're not here at 10 in the morning. We're only here in the evenings. Because most people leave for work early, and then they come back at night. And they don't want to stop at 7 at night, or 8 at night, or 10 at night at the gas station for various reasons. And predominantly, women don't want to stop at the gas stations during the late hours as well. And that's what the facts are. So our ability to get to everybody is, everybody wants it after 6 p.m., actually after 8 p.m., we can't get to everybody I don't have, 20 trucks running around all night long. So, and most of the convenience is, shoot, I gotta get gas, my car is empty, or I don't want to get stuck in the morning going to a meeting. And it's the best, all they do is they use their phone, there are 3 strokes, takes 20 seconds, and we're there within an hour or so.
Can I ask you a question? So it's been almost 2 years. Can you tell us approximately how many customers you have, how many cars
We have
in Bay
about
Harbor?
5,000 people in our database. There are about 2,000, 2,500 that are very active meaning at least 2 times a month. There's probably close to 1,000 that are 3 to 4 times a month.
But in Bay Harbor, in our town, do you know?
It's mostly, I would say, the borderline is 95, primarily, and then the beach, and it's from Aventura or Golden Beach down to South Beach.
But are you looking to expand your hours because you can't get to everybody in Bay Harbor, or because you have so much business widespread?
Really, Bay Harbor, we have a lot of clients. Some people are
So I
present.
think Kelly was asking, how many customers do you have in Bay Harbor Island?
40 to 50 people that are interested. We probably get to about 25.
How long does it take to fill up a car?
It takes about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
So if you have 40 to 50 or even 60
So-
customers between the hours of
let
the
me
evening hours.
First by saying that my whole family in Surfside, Bay Harbor, my mother, I, of course, we all use your service. And there are times that I will hit that app because my kids come home or somebody says to me,
By the way, your car's empty.
my car's empty. And, I don't like going at nighttime. I don't, to a gas station, and I don't have the best hand to grip it. That he's not, I know for a fact, because they've said to me denied, or they can't get to us, because at 10 o'clock, you're done. And so at 8, he's right, from 8 to 10 is exactly when the car needs to be there and needs to stay there for them to fill it. I will tell you that when he's in front of my house, half the time, I know you're saying, but I don't hear a thing. I mean, it's not a huge, I wish you would have a picture of what it looks like.
Show us a picture.
When you're done, I do want to say so, because I have heard it multiple times.
Now, I will say this, when they first started, Marlene, we were outside right out front.
Well, we brought you a video the first time when they came.
Yeah.
So that you could hear it.
It doesn't have to necessarily be to 2 in the morning, but at least if we can extend it to some compromise. There are other seniors and people.
Let me get a word in. No, I haven't spoken yet. Oh, you haven't? No, I've been patiently waiting on this one. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me go through a few things if you don't mind. Okay, first of all, I was the one, like I said, when the first time I ever heard this, I was coming back late. Usually I'm not this late coming back late, but my wife and I were coming back at like 3 in the morning from somewhere, and you were on the street, and you were one of your competitors was using the machine, and it was loud as can be, echoing at 3 in the morning. And obviously 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning are going to be very similar. With nothing moving, that gets loud. So that's one of the reasons I brought it up, and that's why we came up with the 10 o'clock as a compromise back then.
Just to answer your point, before that, so I'm pretty sure it was a competitor, and I'll tell you why. Because our pump is contained within a cabinet.
Okay, but it doesn't matter, because here's the thing: if we let you, we let everybody, and we can't say just you are the only fueling company that after hours. It's all or none. So here's the other thing: by coincidence, when we got our packets last week, and I mean, the next day, I'm driving out, this is during the day, in the early evening, something like that. Sure enough, there's one of your trucks. And I said, perfect time, and let me hear the noise again during the regular daytime hours. When you stand in front of the truck, it's honestly not so bad. It's really not that loud. But when you stand behind it, because I know you said you have a little bit of thing to block it, and obviously you can't encapsulate the entire thing because you're going to have fumes. When you stand behind it, it does get a little bit loud. Now, does it go beyond our decibel limit? Probably not. But at nighttime, that is going to echo. So not only was it a little loud, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on the next thing, which is, well, I waited around. You may have wondered why there was a car going back and forth a couple times behind you. I wasn't stalking you, but just the timing was there. So then I decided, I waited till you left, and I took a look back over there, and I realized there's now, because there's been no rain, there is a small little, stain on the pavement below. Now, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that was just condensation from your truck, and hopefully not spill. But it is a concern to me. And it also occurred to me, I said, you know what? If we're allowing you guys, for convenience of residents, to go to 2 in the morning because you're quiet, an oil change can be done relatively quietly at 2 in the morning. Now, what's the next step? Are we allowing all auto servicing as long as there's no drill? Are we allowing oil changes? Do we really want to invite people and workers to be there at different hours in the middle of the night, inviting people onto the island to essentially claim that they're doing work, and essentially give up a lot of our security for the purposes of a few people that want to fuel it beyond 10 p.m. It's not something I'm willing to do. And I understand your business, and I appreciate the business, and I understand there's a demand, but if you really want to service certain customers in this town, then before 10 o'clock, either get a couple more trucks, or you limit the price and limit the amount and say that's it. But I'm not supporting anything beyond 10 o'clock. That was already a compromise.
Okay.
When we first approved it, I know that 10 p.m. was a compromise, because you guys came in asking for more time than that, I remember. And we said we're going to kind of provisionally approve it pending any complaints.
Issues, there was no issues. There's never been an issue.
There was never, in the time from the approval till today, there has not been one
I
complaint.
have not heard one complaint, no.
Okay. So, I mean, if Stephanie feels that midnight should be the witching hour, I mean, I'm saying if there's no complaint, because people would complain even if it's after, even if it's before 10 o'clock, if it was noisy, they would complain if it's after 6 o'clock. So, I think this is a, this represents evolution.
No, it's not the same thing.
FedEx trucks, prance around the neighborhood. They're in or out our neighborhood.
Until 7.
7, or even
They'll
after
go a little later.
that. Even after that, they'll go later than 7.
I'd be happy if they just watched the stop sign.
Let me tell you, they're as noisy as can be. I mean, I don't have a problem with the item as proposed, but if it'll gain more support with a midnight deadline, I would support that also.
Me too.
What's the county noise ordinance, 11?
For certain things, yes. Party, whatever.
Parties.
Well, let me ask you, do they exceed the decibel level at night?
I cannot say 100%, but they did not exceed it when we first had them out there. I remember measuring it. I remember taking a video. I remember bringing the video to the council and showing it to the council. It really isn't a lot of noise.
When you stand behind it gets a little loud. In front, they're quiet.
We didn't exceed it standing right in front,
Yeah.
as you suggested. We did not exceed the decibel level, and we clearly were, I think we were 40, we were way below whatever was appropriate when you went to the sides of the truck or the front of the truck.
Right.
So you're right, if you're standing right in front of noise, it's going to be noisy, but even based on your requirements and your testing, we did not
So
exceed
you could only send trucks with 2 fronts.
That's not a bad idea.
You'll be all
Not a bad idea.
sad. You'll be
I think as a matter of policy, I just don't want businesses operating
Yeah.
in the
After
residential
hours.
areas at that hour of the morning. That is really what it comes down to. I'm not, I'm familiar with your business. I've seen your trucks. I don't have an issue with what, you've done in servicing, our residents, and frankly, I haven't really heard it. So it's not so much, that I'm reacting to noise that I've heard. I just, as a matter of policy, I'm not going to go to that hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I might consider 11 o'clock, to be perfectly honest with you, because that, in my mind, is like county noise ordinance or something for parties and other things like that, but past that hour, I wouldn't approve it.
So is there some-
I can tell you that that internally as management, we're very strict about making sure we stand by the guidelines, so.
No, I think
I
it's
don't have
I'm not trying to.
I don't have an issue with your business operations, it's just a question of the hours.
No, but
of
we've
operation.
respected what you've requested, and we've lived by it.
And we appreciate that. It's not a knock on you guys. You guys have come up with an incredible concept, and you're doing a great job. It's just, I have a problem with letting people in to do essentially work after that late of an hour, when noise can echo, and it also does open up the door to other businesses coming in saying, well, if we're quiet, why can't we do it too?
So let's call,
Let me ask you one more question. Are other cities allow you to do it till 2 a.m.?
This
I'm
is
sorry?
the only, so there's an issue.
So-
We've got till 6 in the morning sometimes, depending on what the volume is.
Yeah, well,
what
Not
is
here.
Surfside, what is, I know you go to Surfside.
Last night we were there till 3 in the morning, so.
oh, well, yes.
Okay, let's,
What is the motion at this point? Because it was.
If the motion is a motion, I think.
At 2 or 12? I didn't
We
understand.
we would be willing, we would like your permission, and if 12 was the absolute cutoff, we would live with 12.
I'll amend the motion to make it 12 a.m.
I'll second it.
Okay?
Okay.
You want me to do a roll? call? Okay. Councilmember Yaffe.
Against?
Councilmember Chicoche.
Opposed?
Councilmember Sauer.
For.
Councilmember Reed.
Opposed.
Councilmember Leonard.
Opposed.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
Against.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
It fails 2 to 4.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
She's the best.
Right, item number 16, consideration and approval of a contract award to Metro Express, Inc. in the amount of $76,000 to perform work associated with contract BHI 197, Zone 3 Valley Gutter Repairs on the perimeter roadways of the West Island north of 96th Street.
I'll move it.
This is a budgeted item. This is as part of continuing to maintain the valley gutters. in
Yeah,
preparation for-
next time you send the agenda item with color coding, send a color copy.
Duly noted.
That's the same.
JC?
This is,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you and I discussed, I mean, we're going to do this a little bit differently in terms of the
Yes,
the size of the patches
we're
and so
changing,
forth.
like before you would see smaller patches.
Right.
And what we're gonna be doing, I believe it was 4-foot stretch or something.
No, no, I mean, they're
4
6 foot, those sections are 6 feet, is
Or-
what I understand.
If they're 6 foot.
Joint to joint.
The
Joint to joint, right,
yes.
no more cutting them in half
Yeah,
or in the
no
middle.
more cutting or a
anything else
fraction
like
of it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were, I missed, it was 4 foot, or I think FDOT standard is 4 foot, but we're gonna do joint to joint.
that. Right.
That's smart.
Perfect.
All right, and then this is budgeted, we budgeted 72, but it came in at 76.
Okay. Paul?
Councilmember Yaffe.
4.
Councilmember Chicoche.
4.
Councilmember Sauber.
4.
Councilmember Reed.
4.
Councilmember Leonard.
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Item number 17, consideration and approval of a contract award to Cone and Graham Heavy Construction in the amount of $94,704.20 to perform work associated with contract BC 152 tendon repairs U-channel over Indian Creek Bridge. This was all right, if you look at the Indian Creek Bridge, we have a sewer force main that comes across, and the actual bridge has a structural component that holds that in place. Well, recently, it was maybe a few months back, we were notified that it had snapped. And so a couple of months back, you guys approved the design, and then this is the work that is associated with repairing it.
Okay.
Move it.
Second.
Call vote.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments here.
Sure.
Is this the item that I read that, again, our consultants said that this should come in at like $46,000 and the bid came in at $90,000?
Above.
The two bids that came in were within a couple of $1,000s of each other, but nevertheless, the projected amount of expenditure was 50% of what the bids came in at.
That's correct. Yes.
Who did that projection?
Which one of our bridge engineers? Lakes Engineering?
This is, wow.
It's one of the newer ones, one of the new companies. So I guess it's not just the hardesty thing.
So it doesn't, for some reason, that just did not make me feel better.
You know, it's one of those things that it's an old bridge and you know, they.
But is
Don't
it,
start
is
with the line.
it just,
We're done with that. All that line is an old bridge before.
right, is it just so difficult for bridge experts to determine how much repairs cost?
Councilman, I agree with you. But you know what made me feel comfortable about when I did the evaluation was the closest of the two bits we got. Because if the engineer sort of made an error in estimating, and he was sort of winging it based on probably parametric models and so on, but the two bids we got were within, I think, $4,000 of each other.
Right.
And that to me spoke volumes to the quality of the bid and the fairness of that process. You know, I thought I was very comfortable.
No, we're just
bringing
going
it to you.
We're not questioning the
bids are
bid,
probably
we're
fine, the
questioning the
estimate's the issue.
experts.
Why we're-
Right, of course, but I mean,
Well, in all fairness, did they have access to the bridge plans, the actual bridge plans, or we don't have bridge plans for that bridge?
we had a site visit,
Okay.
so we brought them out and they looked at it, the U channel.
Do they do boring tests and, you know, concrete samples and all that kind of stuff? Or they just look at it and, oh,
They
you know,
didn't need to. The project is to do a fiber, it's a fiber reinforced polymer covering, which will sort of simulate the steel rebar. So we're not going, the steel rebar, it's in the U channel, which is a pre-stressed member. But the pre-stressed tendons are pretty much gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to strengthen this U-shaped channel by coating it with a fiber reinforced polymer that simulates rebar. So the rebar is like sticking the bars on the side of the concrete.
Right.
That is what this process would do. So the strength of the concrete, we gave them that in an addendum. Everybody had the same information. I mean, why the engineer came up with a low bid, I mean, it's beyond me.
Can I
I
ask
don't
Well,
know.
yeah, so, but what-
55.
What about the change
right, exactly. I know you're Randy, but let me tell you this.
I do not suspect, I do not
Wait,
suspect
wait.
any change orders in this
No,
one.
is there anything in the contract that we can put that, oh, they can get only up to a certain amount so that they can't come back? Our concern is from prior
Yeah, this is-
Prior bridge experience.
that we've had change orders, so,
Yeah,
you know,
They use the word, I just said to her, if they use the word change order, we take one of their fingers.
Right, so
Yes, no,
is
but
that-
this project
No
is.
more change orders.
This project is more cut and dry, and it's not
We'll just
digging
leave it
into
hanging.
into the.
At this point, there are no unknowns.
Time. Frank, is there anything in the contract that you can put about change orders, like, you know, that they can't exceed, like, you know, when you build a house, you give them a certain amount of time and a certain,
Well,
and
Well,
if-
the reality, I'm sorry, but I agree with you. I don't want to see change orders, but the reality is, you're in the middle of a project and there's some condition that, you know, that's
It's impossible.
discovered or something. I mean, you
Well,
can't
that's-
just stop the
But
project.
no,
but
but
right
there's
now-
a difference between that and all of a sudden it's,
Right.
you know, concrete went up in price or this.
Right, I don't want
went up in
our
price.
$100,000 bridge
I got
to
you.
become a $250,000 bridge.
And you're not gonna see that happen, because I mean, there are no unknowns at this point. Everything is outside of the bridge. It's not inside the concrete that you may chip away, and all of a sudden a bunch of concrete falls off.
Can I ask you about how you select the engineers? They're in a rotation,
Yes,
right?
yes, and this year, when we went out, did RFQs, we got two bridge engineers to submit, and we selected both of them.
Right,
So
so,
they're
but
both
how
on
do you
our-
choose between the two of them? Do you just rotate?
We just
or-
rotate. Lakes Engineering is a smaller firm, and this is a smaller project.
Smaller jobs,
so we just went with
okay.
them.
So you keep kind of a scorecard, mental or otherwise, when there's a big discrepancy
Yeah,
like this?
when something like this
Take
happens.
notice of that?
Yeah, well, it's something that we remember when we pick
Well,
the
we
next-
remember it, but did we bring it to their attention that, hey, look, you know, we got two bids, they're
We will
within
bring
a
it to their
couple of
attention.
$1,000 of each other, and they're both 50% more than what you said it was going to be?
Yes,
Those are important
we will bring, if it hasn't been brought, it will be.
And as
brought
you
to
said,
their
they're new. This was not a great first impression.
So Frank, please tell what you can put in the contract to make us feel a
Yeah, so
little.
what we usually put into construction contracts are one, maximum price, maximum time with liquidated damages thereafter.
And I would feel comfortable if it had that in there, because I know, like Marlene said, it's a 1966 bridge, and maybe it needs a little work, but, you know,
We'll make
Not
sure,
250,000.
we'll make sure we add that language in there, that it's in there. But I know we already have liquidated damages and all those type of clauses in our contracts.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Paul?
Councilmember Leonard.
4.
Councilmember Reed.
4.
Councilmember Sauber.
4.
Councilmember Chicoche.
4.
Councilmember Yaffe.
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
Unanimous.
Okay, number 18.
18, consideration and approval of proposal from Hazen and Sawyer in the amount of $19,600 for engineering services in the preparation of the town wastewater collection and transmission system model update due April 1st, 2019. This is our continuing efforts with the DERMS.
Nobody's listening, Jason.
Yeah, okay.
Stacy,
I'll second it.
Second.
Yeah.
Right.
Full vote.
No, there's no
You
poll
don't need
vote.
to, you don't need to.
No need to poll vote.
Call it.
Call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Done.